5:43, and I'm calling this meeting to order. We'll get started with the agenda. The first item is remote learning technology essentials, systems for student success, and mass grad promising practices. Federal grants for school year 2020-2021, $311,000, 560.
Good evening, everybody. It's great to see everybody. Dylan Cook is here too. He's our business manager. So we'll both be participating going forward. So it's nice to get back into the stream of things. So I just put up on the screen the report for the federal grants that we have received. Each year in the budget, we anticipated grant funds, and then we'll come back to the school committee when the numbers differ from what you approved in the budget process. So the remote learning technologies is a new grant. It's COVID related. It's for funding to make sure that students have adequate technology. We are using that to acquire iPads for pre-kindergarten and our kindergarten students who up until now do not have electronic devices. The Systems for Student Success is a grant we've had for a number of years. Our social work team works on it to strengthen systems and supports for students so that they can thrive. And then the Mass Grad Promising Practices is a multi-year grant we've had with REACH that provides funding for the group leaders and various activities to help students stay in school, and that's what REACH helps us with.
Great. Anybody have any questions here?
I have a quick follow-up question, Monica. Do we have an idea of how many students still don't have their Chromebooks or a hotspot? I remember, Almi, you shared.
Yeah, we've distributed 4,700 Chromebooks. Hotspots, we are actually working on collecting a Google Forms from every school of students and collecting that information so we can distribute the next round of hotspots that we purchase.
Perfect. And will this money support with that? Is that what this money is intended for?
This particular grant is not funding the Wi-Fi. We're using our general fund for that purpose. This one is supporting the iPads, which we had in modest numbers previously, but now we're having large numbers. In addition to the hotspots, we are giving out Comcast codes, which is good for 12 months of free Comcast services for families that are eligible. And those have been going out for a few weeks now.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, just for the notes, could you say the number of Chromebooks again the number that you said? Just want to make sure that
4,700.
4,700 have been given out.
Yes, and I'm not sure how many iPads, but I can get that information for you.
Thank you.
And that number is still going up too, because individual devices are given out almost daily from the schools.
And any student who's registering now at the PIC, we have Chromebooks at the PIC. So if they come in and register, we give them a Chromebook.
And we have a good enough supply there, you think?
Oh yeah, we're in a really good place with our Chromebooks.
Perfect.
We're fortunate.
Great.
We just need the city of Chelsea to get Wi-Fi for the entire city. Like,
I love that.
You know what I'm saying? Like every resident should have Wi-Fi in our city.
Hey, let's go to city council meeting. Let's do it.
That's what I'm telling you.
Let's make it happen. All right. Seeing does anybody have any other questions about this item? Okay. Seeing none, let's move to the next item. Can we go back to the agenda?
I'm not driving tonight. It's kind of nice.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. So item number 2, consideration and action to accept the Coronavirus Relief Fund School Reopening Federal Grant for 2020-2021, $1.4 million. It's a lot of money. Tell me more, Monica.
This is called the Reopening Grant. It's given to communities across Massachusetts as part of the CARES Act. We are getting $225 per pupil, which brings us to the $1.4 million. We have received confirmation from the state that our application has been approved. Our proposal that was accepted was to allow us to buy Mac laptops for our teachers to add to the inventory we have there. We are getting full room video capability, which means you can walk around the room while being video and audio taped for 41 classrooms. That's one classroom per grade per school. We are acquiring additional UVC and ionization equipment for air handling. These are in-room devices that we will be installing once we get them. Our drinking fountains, other than at Clark Ave, are the traditional drinking fountains, which is just push a button and then put your mouth next to it. Those have all been bagged for COVID, but we applied to replace all of our older drinking fountains with the modern version, which has a bottle filler. So when our students return, we do so that they have water available to them. The bottle fillers are going to be much more environmentally sound than to give them water bottles. It'll take us a little while to get them in, and installed, but eventually we're going to have bottle fillers in all the schools. And then we've allocated funding $50,000 for take-home PE equipment and take-home art supplies, which high demand. And so a lot of it's, I think, still on back order, but we're in the process of ordering those items too.
Really random question. Thinking about a world in the future where we don't have COVID, what's like, do we know what we're gonna do with all this equipment that we're buying that is are we gonna have a use for it after, or I'm just curious.
It's a really good question. And I think we are doing a good job in investing in things that will have long-term. That's where the drinking fountain idea came up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The video technology in the classrooms is going to be, for great use. There's so many different uses for that.
And the laptops.
The laptops. Yeah, it's been on Almy's list and Mary's list before her. And we just sort of had to move.
I was more asking about the PE and art supplies. That's kind of what the others yes, we will definitely use.
So the PE and art supplies are they're disposable items.
The consumables.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Got it. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Does anybody else have any questions about this?
Not a question, but I'm super excited we are receiving this amount of money for our kiddos. This is great.
It would be nice if they actually packed it up and package and actually gave us more, but we'll take what they give us. Anyway, my commentary for another time. Anything else in this item? Okay. Seeing none, moving to the third item. Safe and supportive schools, supporting students, behavioral and mental health and wellness, and early college support state grants for 2020-2021. $123,200. Go ahead, Malcolm.
These are grants that we've had for a number of years, but at the time of budget adoption, we were not certain that they were going to be awarded. But the good news is that they are coming again. So safe and supportive schools is, again, just like it sounds, safe, positive, culturally responsive community for students. Our social workers manage that. The behavioral and mental health is a substantial number that is supporting mental health and behavioral services and PE and different things like that for our staff. And then the early college really is just helping us continue with our early college support, making sure that it's accessible to all of the students that are eligible.
Scroll down.
I think it's just that standard something.
Oh, got it. Okay. Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Kelly.
Thumbs up. Okay, next one.
Yeah, that's great. All right, so let's use the squeaking guy here. All right, so number 4, private grants from the Chelsea Education Foundation and Bar Foundation, $54,750.
So the Butterfly Award is funded by the family of Carolyn Arand. through the Chelsea Educational Foundation. They had donated $10,000 to us previously for awards to teachers, showing the strength that Carolyn brought. They've added another $4,500 to their donation to Chelsea School. So with this, we'll be at $14,500 minus the 2 awards that we've given so far. But it's been really well received by the staff. The REACH program received a small grant of $250, private dollars, and then for our Chelsea Opportunity Academy, the implementation of the creation, the Bar Foundation committed to a 3-year program, and this is the 3rd year, the $50,000 for the implementation of the COA.
And why was that one not approved the last time? Is it because they just hadn't like dispersed the money or all that?
You know, I went back to look at the budget document on that one particularly. I think that might have just been an oversight because we did know that they had committed to the 50.
Got it.
And this is the last year that we'll receive it, so then we have to supplement with our regular budget in the future.
Got it. Any questions here? Right. Seeing none, moving on to item number 5. Consideration and action to accept a gift of $12,500 from Association of School Superintendents and KISS 108 for Chromebooks for kids.
Yeah, so this is a wonderful program, and in a short amount of time, since the end of July, they've collected funds for schools across Massachusetts to purchase Chromebooks for students. And they've given Chelsea $12,500, which is a lot of Chromebooks. They're about $300 a shot. So it's a very generous donation to us as a gift.
That's incredible.
So
And you can go online and see a commercial made that Michael Talbot from the Clark made for KISS 108.
That's awesome. Now, quick question. Have we received a gift in the past from Massachusetts Association of School Superintendents, or would this be our first?
I don't know. I do know that this was sponsored by MASS, and I don't think I don't think we have.
Right? Yeah. I wonder if it has anything to do with Mary's advocacy up there. Still looking out for Chelsea.
Yeah.
great. Yeah, definitely. Any other questions here? Right. Seeing none. I think we will take the Chromebooks. All right, so next we have consideration and action to accept the gift of 5 American Girl dolls from Dr. Jerry Robinson, estimated value $550.
So Dr. Jerry Robinson had donated 22 dolls to us back in the late summer, and she's followed up with 5 more. These are pretty substantial items for the students, and they will be going to 5th and 6th graders at the Caminos program at the Kelly Elementary School. So she's been incredibly generous with us as well.
That's great.
Quick question, and I know we're almost up for time, but have we received any feedback or any update on how the children are doing with the dolls? Are they enjoying them? Is there like a thank you picture we can send with the kids and the dolls to the doctor?
We have sent thank yous already, but I'll find out. I'll ask our literacy coordinator, Dr. Tamara Blake Cansey, and see what the feedback is.
Also, have they used them just because we've been out of school? I forgot if the timeline.
Yeah, I don't know if they've been distributed or not yet. So I'll find out. I'll let you know.
Yep. Great. Perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right, so next we have consideration to send the amended general fund to increase the funding from 96.5 to 100.3 million. Is this all of these things combined, or is that something different?
It's something different. I'm going to switch to a slide presentation, so give me a second.
Yep.
Let's do that. you see that?
Yep.
I don't know what you guys see.
Yep. Yeah.
So we're amending the budget again. The good news is it's a positive story where we are adding the superintendent, school committee, myself, we went through a lot of effort this spring to get our plan adopted with the best information was available to us at that time. But we have received from the state our allocation. So I'm just going to walk you through a few slides. This is probably shorter than what we'll show at the full school committee, but it gives you an idea of the positive impact that we're having. So we're just going to go over what you had approved at a very high level, and then go over the additional revenue and the recommendation for how we recommend utilizing funds. So if you remember, we did basically a 0% scenario where we said if no new monies come into Chelsea, what would we have available? And as we've always talked, costs go up every year inherently. And we assumed no increase in charter, although we assumed a few additional charter students. So that created a substantial shortfall that we closed. On this screen, it's the calculations of the Chapter 70, the city, the charter revenue, charter tuition, the city additional funding that they give us that's not Chapter 70 eligible, et cetera. You've seen this table before. I pulled the slide that we had last spring did our balancing because we had to cut nearly $2.2 million out of our budget.
Can we mute Henry just because we're getting I think a lot. So there we go.
There we go. I think so.
Okay.
So we had to take out about $2.2 million. We tried to, as we said, we're not cutting positions. There was one position, but we were able to redeploy somebody. But really tried to be very thoughtful and methodical in the cuts. And to plan ahead in terms of prepayment of part of the special ed tuition. So this is just a refresher for yourselves. The new revenue story is more positive. So you can see I have fiscal 20 as a base, the 21 adopted, and you can see there that it's literally dollar for dollar, the 20 number. And then there's a new fiscal 21 column that shows you what the state has now indicated. I will say that they have not passed the budget. The guidance we've gotten from DESE even this week is to move forward with what they have published for us. But the fact is it hasn't totally been adopted yet at the state level. So we need to move forward because the city has to be able to set the tax rate. So they need to know our budget to do that. So I am not saying we will not be back, but this is absolutely the best information. And in terms of the charter school revenue, I got that directly from the Department of Revenue. It is not published, but the contact person there said this is Chelsea's figure. So you can see that we have a nice increase to work with, which I don't think any of us really expected it. We were starting to work on a 10% cut scenario in the summer. So this is certainly a much more positive outlook.
If I can explain some of the increase though, remember in SOA, they included our increased enrollment, and we were trying to fight that and say that's not part of SOA, it's part of our regular Chapter 70 funding. It should not be part of SOA, and they have put it in there. So when this all fell through and SOA is no longer, if you will, then they ended up giving us the funding for our increased enrollment, what should have been in Chapter 70 to begin with. So that is cause for much of the increase, and basically we got it in the right place now.
Yes, exactly.
Basically, so what you're saying is we got the Chapter 70 funding that we would have gotten if SOA had not passed.
Well, they snuck it in, the enrollment increases in the SOA. And we were like, no, that doesn't belong in there, but they credited it to SOA. And we were like, no, we had an increase of 170 students that needed to be captured in Chapter 70.
Yeah, legislators want to be able to say that they did something with us.
Yeah, so we were like, wait a second here, that's not really SOA.
Yeah.
So anyways, it's in the right place now.
Got it.
It's the standard formula that they would have used and
Yeah.
before SOA was passed.
Exactly.
The superintendent's absolutely correct. We had an increase in enrollment that has produced additional funding. So moving on, our recommendation for how to utilize the funds for your consideration. Some of these will be familiar because they were items that we had proposed before. A recruitment specialist for HR, really to focus on our diversity efforts, our equity efforts, their onboarding, restore the IT funds that we had cut when we were using the 0% scenario, add 2 computer technicians, which we knew before COVID that we needed additional, and now we're going to be adding well over 1,000 devices for the pre-K and K, and just our reliance is so intense on the technology right now. Replenish the extraordinary maintenance that we had cut, increase funding for tutors. Our schools have asked if the tutors could start earlier in the year, one-on-one with the students, which we think is really valuable to help them, catch up and keep moving forward. Increase professional development. Under the superintendent's leadership, we're doing a lot on equity. It's really important at this time period, and to get the professional development that we think we need a little bit more money there. Increase the special ed tuition 4%. We did not do any increase as part of our 0% scenario. And we did make a down payment. We made a prepayment of $1 million. But in order to keep the budget sort of balanced going forward, I think it's important to replenish that line now that we do have resources. And we are finding that the tuitions are going up pretty substantially. We're doing the calculations right now to sort of forecast what that looks like. I'm sure you can understand that the cost for those organizations is probably increasing as well. As part of the cut, we had proposed moving some early learning center salaries onto a revenue stream. We would like to move those back to the general fund. Add 9 teachers, 1 per school except for COA. I sort of think of that as like a down payment toward the SOA and the many goals that we had set for that.
Is there a breakdown of what teachers those will be? Like what?
I think the principals are going to tell us. We haven't. I don't think, Almi, unless you have. I don't think we've had that detailed conversation yet.
We're doing class size review on Monday, and so we'll see if there's classes that are over, let's say, 29 at tipping point 29, then we need to add FT. So it just depends on what we'll see. We're seeing higher enrollment numbers actually at I believe it was 7th grade. So we call it balancing. So we're going to do a class size review and then we'll balance classes. So we just put that aside every year. It's common practice in education. You put money aside for class size balancing.
Perfect.
Continue positions previously on the Puerto Rico hurricane relief grant that was not continued into this fiscal year. So 3 positions total, shifting from grant funds onto the general fund. And then the final item is health benefits for the new positions, replenishing our salary contingency account, which we had reduced, and anticipated cost of living increase for the workforce.
Great.
So those are our proposed items.
Any questions from others? Okay. Seeing none, is there anything else besides this for this item? Okay, cool. That's perfect. All right.
Wait.
Great. Since I know you all have things happening at 6, just want to make sure that we move on unless there's anything else, so we can move on to the next item.
I think that's all we have for today.
Okay, great. So, all right. So, can I? Does anybody want to make a motion to accept these items and move them to the school committee?
I motion to accept these items and move them to the school committee.
Okay. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. Okay. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Great. Anybody, any opposed? I don't think so. Great. Anybody abstain? No? Okay, great. Great, so moved. That's everything, right? Okay, great. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn at 6:02? 6:08, sorry.
6:08, yes. Great, second?
Second.
Great. Seeing none opposed, meeting is adjourned at 6:08, 6:09, but yeah, 6:08.
Night,
Thank you,
everyone.
everybody.
Good night, everybody.